Welcome back to the Second Swing YouTube channel for episode 3 of Dinner with the Winner with a very, very special guest, Kevin Kraft. If you've been following the channel, you know him already. He is a multiple-time professional champion, most recently the 2023 Pennsylvania Open and the 2024 Pennsylvania Senior Open. So we had to have a Dinner with the Winner episode here at a place that I know you already love just by being in here for, what, a half hour now?
Oh, goodness.
Surly Brewing Company in Minneapolis. Beer and pizza. Kevin, what do you like so far about this place?
Everything.
Everything?
Everything.
Okay.
There's nothing not to recommend it.
All right.
Fantastic.
Well, we have a day here for some beer and some pizza. Should we go get some?
Yes, please.
All right, so I know you're a big beer guy, Kevin.
Yeah.
And specifically the kind of the fruity, juicy things. I see the beer here
beer's
sign.
here.
What are you going to order? We got the big menu behind you over here.
So I like the juicy stuff.
Yeah,
like
right.
the hazy, juicy kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna start with the Mosh Pit Juicy Pale Ale.
Ooh, okay, all right.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful.
So, beer, we've got that.
Beer.
Now we got the pizza.
Pizza.
So, the cool thing here is that the pizzas are named after either characters or scenes in shows or movies. There happens to be one called Kevin, or named Kevin.
It's your build your own.
Yes.
So I'm
Or as the
building
menu
myself.
says, dress up Kevin.
Yes, dress me up.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Interesting. Okay.
Dress up Kevin.
Dress up Kevin. Okay. I think I'm also gonna dress up Kevin, but
Nice.
slightly different.
What
With
am
some
I-
different
what
clothes.
am I wearing on your
Slightly
pizza?
different clothes on Kevin for me. But I'm not a mushroom guy, so
Okay.
I know you like your mushrooms.
I'm all about the pepperoni and the mushrooms. So Kevin's gonna wear pepperoni and mushrooms
All right.
eventually.
Well, my Kevin is gonna wear pepperoni and sausage.
Okay.
So.
Cool. Very meaty of you.
All right.
Where do you want to start?
Anywhere.
Anywhere?
We got
Well,
pizza,
I mean-
nachos. So this is brisket,
Yeah.
queso.
Yeah.
Then we've got our own pizzas, our Kevin's.
I mean, yes. Yes. I'm diving into pizza.
Okay.
Like
I
straight
could have
up.
it a pizza.
Yeah.
So, of course, there's a big tournament out there that does a meal in honor of the champion.
You mean the Masters?
I could mean that.
Could be that.
Let's say the Pennsylvania Open, Pennsylvania Senior Open, they're going to do a champions dinner.
Yeah.
How would this work for you?
Oh, this would work just fine for me.
Yeah.
I like food. If you've looked at me lately, you know that I like food and I like beer.
Yeah.
So, this is absolutely something that this could easily be a go-to, especially a pizza this good.
Right.
Like, I'm not getting Donatos or Domino's or anything like that. Donatos I might get. Domino's I wouldn't get, but this is amazing.
Well,
That was delicious.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, can't imagine much better meal than that.
we had the full pizza and
And then some.
then some brisket queso.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Wow, that definitely satisfies, I think.
It does.
And I know now, whenever you're here for the content, we will make a stop here. You will
Come
have
here.
to. I think we'll have to.
Yes, I
Otherwise,
think
Kevin
we'll
will get
have
mad
to.
at me.
Yes.
So we talked about the food and the beer. That's
Yep.
all. That's never going to change. About you, anyway. Golf, though, we should kind of. I want to, Dinner with the Winner. We want to talk about the tournaments that you've won.
Yep.
So, you are the only player to hold both the Pennsylvania State Open and the Pennsylvania Senior Open. So you won the State Open last year and the Senior Open this year.
Yep.
Probably feels pretty good to beat the young guys.
It feels incredible to beat the young guys. I mean,
Yeah.
it just keeps getting harder and harder. They're building them bigger and stronger, and they hit it farther, and they have no fear, and it's just, it's just tough. But sometimes knowing how to win and being able to work your way around a golf course is more important than being able to hit it long, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what's happened over the last little bit when I've been able to play with these guys. I know how to play the game.
Yeah, because I was curious because you won this also in 2018, but did you feel that way at the same time, like during when you won that one, or was it more of it 5 years later?
Still 47. It's not like I was a spring chicken when I won that one, right? I mean, I was old. I'm just older now.
Yeah.
So technology's gotten a little better. I'm actually probably still a little bit longer now than I was then. So, being a club fitter and working with Second Swing and being able to be maximized the way I'm maximized with my equipment is definitely helpful. I did do some speed training in 21, and that's definitely helped, get my driver's speed up, and I'm longer. So, got to hold on to that as long as I can hold on to that, especially if I'm going to keep playing against the young guys.
I have enjoyed your Instagram posts of, reaching your max club speed and ball speed. And, because I think you've been in the high 160s before.
Yeah.
Which is, that's
pretty darn 172 one's my fastest ball speed. So I would like to see if I can get to 175. It's probably going to require me to work out, which has definitely not been my MO in the past, but I might be motivated to do something like that.
Yeah, because it has been fun to, follow your career now in the sense that, well, first I joined Second Swing at the very, very end of 2018. And so, to me at that time, you were just one of the fitters at one of our stores out east that I never saw.
Yeah.
And then you qualified for the U.S. Senior Open that year. And that was kind of the introduction, at least to me, of like, oh, this guy is really good in one of our stores out there. He can play a lot of good golf. And so followed you there, you qualified the next year, and then, of course, I was like writing the fitter bios on the website. And it's like winner of the 2018 Pennsylvania State Open, and then qualified for the U.S. Senior Open in 2021.
Yeah.
And so then now we've kind of got this content thing coordinated.
Yeah.
You come here for content and stuff, and it's been a lot of fun to follow that part of it. So now whenever you're playing in a tournament, it's cool to follow it, see where you're at, and even in like the New Hampshire Open just now, again, playing with the young guys, but you're still right in there, in the middle of the pack.
It's so much fun, and Second Swing's been so great, allowing me the time to do that and encouraging me to go play. I mean, most businesses are not going to say, "Yeah, man, you should really go play more," right?
Right, and be away from work.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't think there's any kind of a coincidence that all the good stuff that's been happening has happened since I joined Second Swing in 2018.
Yeah.
It's such a great family, and there's so many great people, and everybody's so supportive, and it means the world to me to have, I take everybody with me everywhere I go, and I just want to make everybody proud and represent the company as best I can.
So I remember getting the videos. I've shared this with you before, but the videos that we would get from the GM of the Columbia store, Dan Marshall. He went to Omaha Country Club, that first U.S. Senior Open you qualified for, and he sent us a bunch of videos of you while you were playing, and the commentary from Dan was priceless. You get
he's great.
You make a 10-foot putt, he's like, yes! Give you one of those, and you can tell us. You give a little fist pump in the crowd, and so. But yeah, we're totally behind you, and I'm really excited to see what happens moving forward, because I know the past has been a lot of fun for you in your career and stuff, and it's been kind of up and down, and you've experienced really the life of sort of chasing the PGA Tour card, I guess.
Sure.
So there's been some ups and downs and some very adventurous times, I imagine, with all of that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, playing 14 straight years of professional golf was both fun and challenging, right? It's not an easy life. Traveling as much as I did, went through 2 wives in 14 years.
Yeah.
It's just not really conducive to happy relationships, and still good friends with both.
Yeah.
So it's all good. It definitely stopped being a game and became work.
Yeah.
And it was right about that time where things kind of really went kind of haywire.
Yeah.
And I walked away from tournament golf for 7 years because I had the yips with the driver, and it's so funny because you think about the yips and it's usually the touch things, right? The chipping and the putting. And here I am with the biggest swing that we make, and all of a sudden I've got nothing, right? I went to bed one night and driver's best club in my bag, and I woke up the next morning and I couldn't hit driver anymore. You know?
So, kind of indulge me in what, mentally, maybe that morning when you woke up and you couldn't swing. Is it really you went up to a hole and you just couldn't swing it?
Yeah, I mean, I was out in Phoenix. I was playing a warm-up event for Corn Ferry Tour, and just trying to get myself in some semblance of form after coming out of the winter. Being up in Ohio, winter's not terribly conducive to playing golf, just as it isn't here. Yeah. And I got to the first tee, and typical first tee jitters, no big deal. Blocked my tee shot a little bit, but wasn't too far off. Found my ball, knocked it on the green, 2-putted, make par. Went to the second hole and almost drivable for me, with my warning track power. And I blocked it 90 yards right out into the desert. And I was like, I did the pro thing. I look at the golf club, like, what happened here, right? And trudged out in the desert, found my ball. It wasn't under a cactus, knocked it on the green, 2-putted, made par, went to the third hole, and I'm like, okay, no big deal, just bad swing. And 90 yards right again. And right about then, I think everything between my ears just kind of imploded. And I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
And it didn't get any better.
So from that point on, were you just hitting not driver off the tee, or what?
I was trying to hit driver off the tee, but once I got out onto Corn Ferry for a little bit there, I was trying everything. I tried longer shafts, shorter shafts, heavier shafts, weaker shafts, stiffer shafts, lighter, weaker, softer flexes, more loft, less loft, bigger grip, smaller grip. I mean, anything that I could possibly throw at it. And I feel so bad for the guys that were out there trying to do anything they could to, cauterize my wounds, and nothing was working. Yeah. So, I tried to play through the year and just I didn't get into very many events. I was conditional, and just the results weren't there, and it was bad, and then I had to walk away. I had to walk away. So I stayed out of tournament golf for 7 years.
So that was mid 2000s, or after?
2008 was my last
2008, year. You gave up tournament golf, and what were you doing away from there? And then ultimately, what also brought you back to tournament golf? Because there's something, now you're playing tournament golf and you're winning things.
Yeah. So I went to work on tour as a club rep. Did that for 2 years, and then bounced around doing instruction and fitting, and kind of bounced all over the place. I was in Ohio, I was in Pennsylvania, I was in Florida, I was back in Pennsylvania, I was back in Georgia, I was in Oregon. So kind of bouncing all over the place, just trying to find the right fit. Yeah. And when we moved back from Oregon to Pennsylvania, where my wife's from, we're about halfway across the country, and I said, I think I want to try and play a tournament again. It's been a long time, and that competitive thing just never leaves your blood. Yeah. And I hadn't had any desire to try until I think we were maybe driving through Wyoming or something, and I was like, yeah, I think I want to try and play a tournament. And my wife, bless her, she's fantastic, and she's so supportive of everything. She's like, you should really do that. And so I was moving across the country to start a teaching job in November in Pennsylvania. So needless to say, I had lots of time to myself at that point. So I spent 5-6 months building a golf swing that won't go left. Okay. And it was a slow process. There was a lot of trial and error, but I finally figured it out. And I felt like, what I had done was enough that I could put it under the gun, under pressure. Right. So come spring, qualifier for the Pennsylvania State Open comes around, and that's going to be my event. And I showed up. I had a buddy of mine caddying for me, but I was scared to death. Yeah. Talk about anxiety.
I mean, this is like 7-8 years, right, since you've played any tournament golf.
Yeah. So, I got up on the first tee, and I'm like, guys, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, I could shoot 85, I could shoot 65. I don't know who I am at this point. Mm-hmm. So thankfully,
because had you been playing golf enough
some
between those
yeah,
years?
I mean, I played some golf. I didn't play a ton of golf.
Okay.
I probably played 20 rounds or less a year.
Oh wow, okay.
You know, so I wasn't. It's not like I was out there banging balls and stuff.
Right.
I would play a little bit on the road when I was tour rep, and play some locally whenever I was working. But it wasn't a big focus, that's for sure. So, get up on the first tee at Lancaster Lebanon Country Club, and it's a dogleg left par 4. I'm like, sweet, I can hit 3-wood, right? I didn't even want to pull out driver. So managed to birdie my first hole back, made it like a 30-footer, and it's like, okay, cool, this is great, right?
Yeah.
Go to the second hole, and it's a straightaway par 5. And I could not pull driver out of the back. I could not do it. There was OB left, but just some trees right, nothing major. And I'm like, nope, can't do it. Hit 3-wood off the tee. Hit driving iron into the right side of the green and 2-putted for birdie, and I'm 200 through 2, but
you weren't feeling good about it.
I can't pull driver.
Huh.
So I ended up hitting 2 drivers that day, both on holes that were really open on the right-hand side, and with swings that just looked seriously intimidated. Like, there was no free-flowing motion at that point. And I hit it through the fairway on one. It was a dogleg right, and actually pulled one just a little tiny bit left, like 5 yards left of the fairway on the other one. And I made one birdie and one par from those spots. So, I had to get my feet wet somehow, and I only pulled, just hitting 2 clubs was okay.
Interesting.
But I shot 69. And got into the.
So that probably had to be, a little bit of a confidence booster.
It was.
You jump back into, competitive golf after that many years. And
yeah, absolutely.
Break 70.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit shocking, to be honest. I didn't have any real expectation of what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And a couple weeks later, I went over to Ohio to play the Tiger Town Open, which I had played and won before, and I didn't have anybody with me that time. So it was just me and my golf clubs, and I got paired with Bob Sowards, who's one of the top players in Ohio, and here I am just on my own, just nervous as all get out. Like, I just remember how stressed I was over pretty much every single shot, but I just kept swinging the golf club and trusting that the work that I had put in would pay off. And I kept making putts, and I made 130 feet of birdie putts that day.
Of just birdie putts?
Just birdie putts. Shot 64.
Good.
I hadn't shot 64 in over a decade, and ended up in a playoff and won on the first playoff hole. Birdied the first playoff hole. So that nice thing on that one is it's a one day, but it's $5,000 for first. So my restart into professional golf was looking really good.
So. Okay, yeah. So right away then So I was gonna say, like, in 2018 you won the Pennsylvania State Open, but by that point
that was 3 years later.
But,
that was 3 years.
Because I was gonna say, like, were you surprised if I had told you in 2016 that you'd be the 2018 Pennsylvania State Open? But your probably answer would probably be no because of
I'd have been surprised.
Really,
I'd have been surprised.
Because how successful you were right away when you came back.
Yeah, I mean, it was great. Qualified for the Pennsylvania Open, finished 4th. All right, I played really well, shot 66 first round, was leader after the first day, but still going out with no expectations, no real understanding of what was going on.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just like every day I'm just scratching my head, not really fully comprehending what's going on. And it really wasn't until 2018 where I started to get a little more of a grasp of, I kind of have this. Like, I'm playing good, and I think I can actually count on some things, right?
Yeah.
When I started working for Second Swing, I had been in the PGA for 2 seasons and playing in the Philly section, so that gave me a lot of events to play in.
Yeah.
So, I was getting the reps. I was getting what I needed to learn that, I could actually play and compete. Even though the results had been good, it was always kind of like, well, is this a fluke, right?
Yeah.
And so the anxiety had really ebbed a lot through all that competitive play. So when I got to the first hole last round of the PA Open with a lead, I wasn't nervous. Like, first tee jitters, but it wasn't like anxiety and holy cow, how is this ever gonna happen? And you know, striped it off the first hole and just kind of went about business. It wasn't easy. Winning never is easy. I had a 4-shot lead starting the second day. I had a 5-shot lead at the turn, and I won by 1. So golf is hard, winning is hard,
but you did it.
But I got it done. And then the funny thing was, right after that, you know, we opened the Columbia store.
Yep.
I didn't play very much in 2019, and then COVID hit, and I didn't play very much in 2020. And so, you know, there was definitely an ebb to things in those 2 years. And then coming out in 2021 as a newly minted 50-year-old, you know, plenty of gray
events,
right? Plenty of gray going. So it was almost like a rebirth. I was dedicated a little bit more. I got to play against some different guys, and all of a sudden things just sort of took off a little bit. You know, going in and qualifying for the U.S. Senior Open was incredible. I'd never qualified for a U.S. Open. As good a player as I once was, I never got through sectionals. Mm-hmm. And then here we are at first attempt, you know, I go out and shoot a number that was good enough to get in. And man, I remember so vividly the feeling of elation qualifying and then being like, there's no cell service. I can't even call anybody. And you have to like drive an hour from
You've
there
told me about this story
there.
too. That
it was hilarious, right?
You can't even
express
it's like
you
your
can't
excitement.
Scream, you can't do anything. I mean, you can to yourself, but so that was interesting. But shortly thereafter, right after I qualified, the magnitude of it and the anxiety of it really kicked in hard. And
leading up to the tournament, or
yeah,
even at
just
the tournament?
like immediately, like leaving the facility, like I'm like, holy cow! I have just qualified for a USGA
a major
Open, right? It's a major.
Yeah.
What am I gonna do, right? I mean, I've been fooling myself all these years. Like that's the way the mind works, and it's crazy how much it works against you.
Yeah.
So, you know, got home and got to working on things a little bit and played a couple more events but driving out there, and I drove out to Nebraska with Dan.
Yeah.
And you know, I haven't told too many people this story, but we get 4 hours from Omaha, and my fight or flight is kicked in big time, and I'm in full flight mode. I'm like, I can't do this. I gotta go home. Like, I cannot do this. I cannot play this event. I cannot have this many people watching me hit a golf ball. I can't get it off the first tee. I cannot do this. And there was no positives going in my head at that point. And you know, Dan was great about it. He's like, brother, you just gotta embrace it, right? You gotta embrace it. And it was hard. Like, we get there and I get to the golf course, and one of the first people I run into is Scott Perel. And Scotty and I go way back. So all of a sudden, you know, my absolute freak out anxiety comes down a notch.
Yeah.
And then I go in to register, and there's Jim Furyk right there. And the anxiety ramps back up again, right? And then, you know, a guy that I had been friends with for a long time was there, and he and I, you know, kind of got reacquainted, and that was really cool. And just some things happened that allowed me to calm down a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I got on the driving range, and I am hitting it so bad. And I've got, you know, Colin Montgomery over here and Ernie Els over here, and I'm fatting shots and thinning shots, and you know, now the freak out comes ramping right back up again. And I got to look back into my history of instruction to figure out what is it I'm actually going to do with myself here, because I can't play the way I'm hitting the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, it is ridiculous. So, you know, kind of ground out that whole idea of how am I going to make this try to turn this into a positive, and managed to get myself striking the ball pretty well, and I was driving it pretty good. And you know, first hole I played in a major, right? Senior major, 504 yards, downhill to uphill, infinity green. You can only see half the pin.
Yeah.
And there's a creek at like 290 off to the right. And I'm standing on this tee box, I don't think I could even feel my legs. And I hit this ball, and I hit it hard, but I blocked it.
Yeah.
I just didn't get it squared up. So I'm walking off the tee box going, oh God, this is great. I'm going to make 12 on the first hole. I'm done after the first swing of the day. I'm going to be in the creek. I'm going to drop. The rough's like this. I'm going to have to hack it out. I'm going to make 15 on the first hole, right? And so we get down there, and it's cleared the creek. But it's in the cabbage. I mean, this stuff is not messing around. And all I can do is take out a gap wedge and just chop it hard left and try to get it to run up the fairway
as far
a little
up
bit.
as you can.
And then an amazing thing happened. I've got 130 something yards for my third shot, and I hit it in about 20, 25 feet and made the putt. And all of a sudden, it's like all that extra pressure that I'm piling on myself. I am the guilty party in this. There was nobody else there that was putting me under pressure. It was just me putting me under pressure. And all of a sudden, a lot of that came off. And I was like, okay, I got through the first hole. It's like the ball got airborne. It moved forward.
Yeah.
It didn't go in the fairway, but somehow we managed to get through it. And then I just kind of tried to settle into to making golf swings and accepting where the ball was going. And somehow, some way, we shot 70 the first round.
Yeah.
And that was so crazy.
You talk a lot about this anxiety level.
Yeah.
Is it like that anymore with tournaments?
Yeah.
Or it still is?
Yeah. I fight it pretty hard, but I'm better now at just trusting the golf swing to do what it's supposed to do. So, like, it affects me here, but it doesn't seem to affect me very much physically, which is great, because if it did, I'd be in a world of hurt.
Right.
So, like, I wouldn't even probably be trying to do any of this if
Right.
it was affecting me, golf
Yeah.
swing.
No, I just was.
But yeah,
was just
I mean,
curious. It's been I know it's been like I mentioned, a webby, up and down road for you all these years, and so
the anxiety ebbs and flows. It's some days it's worse, some tournaments it's worse. First tee at the U.S. Senior Open this last week, anxiety was pretty high.
Yeah,
striped it down the middle. It's the first time I've hit the fairway off the first tee in a Senior Open, so I felt really good about that, right? But the anxiety still lives there, and you acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm willing to talk about all this stuff because, if you don't acknowledge it, there's no way to push through it. Like, if you're hiding from it, I can't hide from it. It's part of who I am at this point.
Yeah.
And do I try things to try to work my way out of it? Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to find anything that works to make my golfing life a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Because as good as I've been, I think I could have been a whole lot better if I didn't have to deal with some of this stuff. So if I can get out of it, it would be awesome. But until that just somehow randomly goes away, just accept it, talk about it, deal with it, and go through it. And it's fine. I'm happy with who I am. I'm happy with what my golf game is, and I'm like everybody else, though. I want to be better. I've been at this 42 years, and I want to be better.
Right.
And the customers that come in to see me for club fitting, they want to be better. So I'm going to do everything I can to help them be better, just like I'm going to do everything I can to help myself be better. We're all in the same boat. Everybody wants to be better.
Everybody's just trying to get better at golf.
And this game is very challenging. It's very difficult, and it's frustrating mentally. It's frustrating physically. But when you realize that we're all trying to accomplish the same thing, and everybody's struggle can be differently, you just try to help people as best you can, and you try to help yourself as best you can.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to that.
I think you're getting low on beer.
Great thing about Surly, they have more.
They do.
I'm kind of thinking we might need another beer.
You might be right about that.
Hello, darkness, my new friend. You get it, don't you? All right, you got it. Do you get it?
I get it.
You get it?
I get it.
You actually know the line.
I've heard the line before.
All right. How about that? Very good, Drew. I got to give you props for that one. I give you such a hard
for those
time.
who don't know, this is called Darkness.
This is called Darkness, yes.
Okay.
So,
what do you think of it? First couple sips.
I mean, it's beautiful. I haven't sipped it yet.
Oh, well, you've smelled it.
Smells delicious.
Okay.
Oh, man. You got to try that. Seriously.
Oh, yeah. I can try it.
Chocolatey, dark, delicious.
Wow, you're right.
Isn't that good?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm primarily an IPA guy.
Yeah.
I fought through it. IPAs were a challenge to me, like golf is a challenge to me. I used to try to drink them because I liked that fruity flavor.
Yeah.
But man, they did not like me. The headaches were brutal, right?
Yeah.
But I just kept drinking them.
Now you powered through?
And I powered through it. So now the IPAs and I are friends. So there aren't too many beers that I don't like. I don't like sours, so I'm never going to touch the sours. But blonde ales, pale ales, stouts, Doppelbocks, Radlers, Shandies. I like most of these things. You don't get my perfect golfing figure without liking beer and things like pizza. So yeah, but this is fantastic.
Yeah,
I love the
interesting.
It's
Yeah,
very nice.
like I said, we will be coming back here in the future.
Thank goodness
Every
for that.
time that you're in the Twin Cities, we'll make this trip a part of the itinerary, if you will.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I like
so,
where your head's at there.
Yeah, I mean, of course. I kind of wanted to ask you about balancing, sort of the club fitting, and then competing. I know you mentioned before that kind of like, Second Swing encourages it, where it's kind of like go out and play your tournaments, and we'll figure it out. And so, do you? I mean, I'm sure at times it's a little bit stressful and stuff, but is it, is it a challenge to find that good balance of getting the amount of golf in and competing in that you need to be able to win tournaments like this?
Yeah, it's weird. I seem to have this crazy superpower where I'm able to play really good at the right times even without a lot of reps.
Yeah.
I think I had played 15 rounds of golf before the qualifier this year.
Wow.
So not a lot of golf.
Yeah.
Our weather's a little better than your weather here, but it's not like Florida.
Yeah,
right. So
still it's very seasonal where you are.
it is, yeah. I mean, I can play most of the year, but whether it's really going to be conducive temperature-wise or frozen greens-wise or whatever. So, I've played now 24 rounds of golf this year. That's all I've played so far. I've won a state senior.
And two of those rounds were in a major tournament.
Yeah.
And, then, I mean, how many of those rounds were competitive versus non-competitive? That's got to be a pretty even balance between the two.
Yeah, I mean, I did U.S. Open locals, shot 68 there and didn't get through. The U.S. Senior Open qualifier, 3 rounds at the New Hampshire Open, 2 rounds at the Pennsylvania Senior, now 2 rounds at the...
Yeah, so you're pretty much half and half, competitive versus not. So
absolutely.
I feel like if you were to ask the average professional golfer, I guess, out there, someone that's a pro player, I'd say that balance is a lot more...
Oh, for sure, no doubt about it. And, where I really handicap myself the most is the fact that I live 2 hours from the store.
Yeah.
So I've got 4 hours of drive time a day, which, you give me 3 hours of practice time and probably doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So, I don't think it's an issue with the job versus the practice. It's more in, my
location.
My choice of where I live is the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And that's all on me, right? I mean, it is what it is.
It is what it is. But it's good, though. Do you think the game is in a spot where, because you talk a lot about competing against the young guys.
Yeah.
Is it too distance focused nowadays, or?
I don't think it can be too distance focused if I'm still able to win
That's a good point.
Pennsylvania Open.
And that's like, you're not a short hitter.
I am not, no. And it's weird because when I was in college, I was the shortest hitter on my college team. And as a touring professional, I was exceptionally average.
Yeah.
And now, as an older guy, I've discovered distance. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that, I'm really in tune with what makes the golf ball work.
Yeah.
And so that's been awesome. And I'm doing some speed work, right? I definitely jumped on that trend, pretty early on, and it's been good for me, for sure.
Yeah, there's clearly I think it's, over time, golf has sort of revealed this, I don't want to say need, but a, inclination to benefit golfers that have a little bit more speed, a little more distance. And so I think you're seeing a lot of, if you were to look at the FedEx Cup standings or whatever standings you want to look at in professional golf, the there's going to be a kind of a tendency for faster and swingers and longer
it
hitters
helps,
to be up
but
there.
by golly, you still got to make putts.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, Bryson can bomb it as far as he can bomb it, but if he's not making putts, he's not going to win. Scotty Scheffler, with his bowling finish, I love it, right? I just absolutely love seeing something that different be that good.
Yeah.
You know, when he's not putting well, yeah, he competes and he's
he'll
right
finish
there,
top 10,
but he doesn't win.
Yep.
Right? If you're going to win, you got to have everything together. So, I don't think you can just say distance alone will win you golf tournaments.
Right. No, I agree with that.
And that's good for me because the young guys hit it further than I do.
Yeah.
And if I'm hitting at 300, they're hitting at 330. You know, but it's not how long it is; it's what you do with it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, yeah, because I guess in the future you're trying to maintain or maybe even increase the speed. But what?
I'll take maintenance at this point.
Right.
I'll keep it where it's at.
What's in store for Kevin Kraft in the future here? I mean, are we looking at more senior majors, qualifying for more senior majors? Or are we looking at continuing to participate in, Champions Q School and things like that?
Yeah, so the rest of this season, I've got the Pennsylvania Open, I've got the Colorado Senior, I've got the New Mexico Open, something I've not played before. I haven't played Colorado either. Texas Senior, haven't done that one in the past, and then I'm going to go to the Q School.
Yeah.
And let's see what happens. I'm probably going to need a little more time to grind it out ahead of Q School because the level of competition there is a bit above what you're going to see at a state open or a state senior. These are guys that at least think they can get to the Champions Tour.
Right.
And they only take 3 or 4 guys a year now.
Yeah.
It was 4 last time. I'm wondering if they've taken it down to 3. They don't want somebody like me out there. I only bring in like 30 more viewers, right? They want the guys that are going to really move the needle.
Yeah.
But if you play well enough, they can't keep you out.
Well, I will say this: you have the personality and the mystique about you to move the needle.
Thank you.
Maybe the Champions Tour does need you.
I like engaging with the crowds.
Yeah.
I like engaging with everybody, and I want to be interesting. I don't want to be somebody that's completely stoic out there and just kind of goes about their business. I'm fairly animated. I talk with my hands a lot.
Really, do you?
Yeah, I do. So, got me in trouble in high school. Not because I was talking too loud, just because I was talking with my hands.
Yeah.
But I'd like to think that I could bring something out there that would be interesting.
Well, it would be awesome to follow, obviously, and we're going to be rooting for you. Obviously, whether you get in or you advance or you don't, I know you're going to be competing. So, but it's been a blast to get to have you more on the channel and get to do some more of the content stuff.
It's been so much fun. I mean, I love doing the content. I'm really comfortable doing the content. I think you and I play off each other really well. I give you a hard time about music stuff, so I'm really pleased that you knew the reference here to Simon and Garfunkel, right? I didn't think you'd have any idea who the heck Garfunkel was, but that's
Hello,
that
darkness,
was really
my old
good.
friend.
There we go. All
Yeah,
right.
see, I got you
so
there.
good.
Yeah, I got
That's
you
so
there.
good. I love that.
I got you on that one.
I didn't
but
think
that's like one for like 40.
Yeah,
50? I don't
look,
know.
we're going to celebrate the victories here,
Yeah, okay.
right? They don't have to be constant.
I know.
You don't have to win every time. But
Right.
if you can win a little bit,
golf.
it keeps you coming back.
That's golf. Yeah, exactly. So, well, we'll kind of wrap it there from Surly Brewing Company in Minneapolis. Kevin, it's been a treat, of course.
This has been a treat. Thank you,
was a lot of
Surly.
fun.
You are delicious in every which way.
Yes. Golfers, stay tuned to the YouTube channel for more coming soon. We've got more Dinner with the Winner coming. We also got more Kevin coming as well. So, Mr. Kraft, thank you so much.
Thanks, Drew. That was great.